going on, everyone? Welcome back to this week's episode of Outside the Arena. I'm Griffin Senek, joined alongside my co-host Devin Bernstein, and we got an NFL-themed episode for you today. Not really much else going on in the world of sports, so we're going to keep things all in the NFL. And I mean, let's just dive right in, Dev. Some really big storylines coming out today. Obviously, last night, Ravens defeated the Bengals 34-20, but we had two season-ending injuries one on both sides. Obviously, Joe Burrow out with a wrist injury for the rest of the season. That's going to be the focus. But Mark Andrews, who we'll touch on, also going to be out for the season with I think it's like a fractured fibula, and then there's some ligament damage. He really messed up his ankle. So prayers out to both those guys. But obviously, the story of this one is Joe Burrow. So Dev, your thoughts on the Burrow injury and kind of the Bengals' outlook the rest of the way?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the Bengals just because it's pretty simple. Their season is over. I don't know. I mean, we kind of did this with the Jets, but they don't really they can compete maybe, but in this AFC North, they're not going to be able to win enough games to I guess they're 5-5. I guess they could maybe go 9-8, but whatever. I mean, obviously this is brutal. Burrow was starting to play super well again, and even in the short stuff we saw from him last night, he looked much better than he did the first time against his Ravens defense. And I just think it's this probably, I don't know, T. Higgins situation is a little bit up in the air now. You have to wonder, do they wish they traded him? Obviously, they had no idea their season would basically be ended, but if they did know that a few weeks ago, or Burrow got hurt a few weeks ago, would you have traded a T. Higgins who you're maybe not going to be able to afford to bring back this offseason? So that's just something I was thinking about, because he doesn't have the fifth-year option. He was a second
No,
round pick.
second round pick. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first thing that came to my mind. I guess this could be good for their draft pick if they want to take a receiver to replace T. Higgins. But and then I guess I'll get into Andrews a little bit. This really hurts their offense. He's still their main guy, as much as Zay Flowers has been, kind of the piece that's added. It still is Andrews as the number one overall target here. And he's just one of those true difference-making tight ends. I mean, I think Isaiah likely can play, but I think he's probably a top 32 tight end, but I don't think he's going to be anywhere near Mark Andrews. So it's just tough. It's just really tough. They've had a lot of injuries. At the beginning of the year, I was almost ready to say they have too many injuries to overcome, and they've completely overcome them. But this one just does feel like it could be just the blow they couldn't take. Pause, but it just felt like an injury that they weren't. This team is just, there are certain guys on every team that's just you're not prepared to lose them, and he felt like one of those guys. And obviously Burrow is the same way. You hate to see it. But what about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you put it pretty well. I mean, the Burrow injury, obviously the Bengals, they are 5-5, so it's they could theoretically win some games. I mean, I haven't looked at their schedule, but they could win some games and there maybe make a push to the playoffs. But the way the AFC is, it's probably unlikely. Like you mentioned, the T. Higgins situation, he's probably gone at the end of the year if you had to guess. So it's this was kind of their best shot. I mean, not that they're not going to be good next year, but I mean, not that T. Higgins has really done anything this year, but that's also part of the reason why they've been, 5-5. They haven't gotten that production out of him. He's been hurt. Burrow hasn't played well. It just never clicked for the Bengals this year. And obviously, devastating injury that, with Burrow now, it's his second kind of major injury that's knocked him out for a season. And what is this, his fifth season now? I guess fourth,
This is
fifth.
fourth.
Did he tear his ACL year one? Yeah, he did, right?
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, his second season-ending injury in 4 years. I mean, that's not a great trajectory. Obviously, I mean, kind of just like a one you can't really control, I guess. I don't know, but so they're screwed. And then the Ravens. I mean, as a Mark Andrews fantasy owner, I'm devastated. But yeah, it's tough. it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, this offense, like you said, like that it runs through Andrews. He's kind of just that safety blanket for Lamar, which is going to change, obviously. OBJ has kind of started to play a little bit better. He's maybe started to kick it in gear a little bit, which if he could, he's going to need to kind of improve and, be a number two option on that offense because right now, outside of Zay Flowers, he's the next guy up, except for the Gus Bus, of course, who gets a gazillion touchdowns. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, their defense is still so good that, I think Lamar can get it done with the weapons they have. Do I think, they can go out and win the Super Bowl? I don't know. I don't know if I don't think that they're probably good enough to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if they were good enough with Andrews, but I think this kind of also just really knocks down the offense. But yeah, I mean, the game itself, like, I feel like there's not even really much to talk about. Like, the Ravens were kind of just in control the whole time. And obviously, once Burrow was out, then, this was a not competitive game. But, the Ravens are 8-3, obviously a crazy loss to the Browns last week, which we'll touch on the Browns next. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're still a good team. It's gonna be interesting to see how things go the next few weeks without Andrews for sure, though.
Yeah, any thoughts on like the hip drop tackle? Have you heard like
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting. I don't think Logan Wilson. Obviously, it's like currently a legal tackle. I know that there's some stuff about the NFL banning it, and I guess I mean I see the risk with it, and I understand why they might want to ban it, but at the same time, it's like I don't know, man. Like it's football. Like shit like this is gonna happen. Like when you sign up for it, like you're putting your body at risk. So it's like all this limiting. I mean, I'm not trying to be like, yeah, let's just like kill everyone and like just beat the shit out of everyone out there. But like, I don't know. I think some of this stuff, like the roughing the passer calls that have kind of come into fruition the last few years, like some of this stuff is just like, all right, like it's making it more about the refs and not about like, all right, let's play some football here.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Personally, it's obviously dangerous and obviously cause the injury, but I don't know. I don't think the NFL should just be going around banning like every little thing within the game. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, no, that's exactly where I stand. Like I guess I'd get it if they did ban it, and it may be the most dangerous type of tackle, but at what point, like, what can defenders do? Like,
It's
it's just
like they're just
getting,
not gonna supposed to tackle him. Like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I generally, I'm not like you said, like, I'm not the type of guy that's like, I want all this violence and like, injuries are just a part of the game, and there's nothing we can do about that. But like in this case, like, it doesn't feel like a dirty play. It doesn't feel like it just feels like a way to tackle someone that might be more violent than other tackles. But if if it's a guy's best option defensively, I feel like that's too big of a part of the game to just like remove or
yeah,
penalize, especially. Um, so yeah, you want to go into Browns?
yeah. Go ahead. You can intro it up.
Yeah, okay. So we have Browns Steelers this week. Obviously the big story, like we said, like is Deshaun is going to be out for the year. And we've kind of ripped on Deshaun. I have like he hasn't played great, but he certainly is better than PJ Walker and Dorian Thompson Robinson, especially Dorian Thompson Robinson, who they're starting. And I don't get that, first of all. Like PJ Walker did seem like a solid backup. Like I heard like a lot of people have been like, well, he didn't know he was going to be starting and it was the Ravens defense, which is fair. Certainly, but like he didn't look like an NFL quarterback. So we'll see if maybe it does end up being PJ Walker's job. But outside of that, it's like it seemed like Watson was starting to play well, or at least, like I said, at the level that this team can be really good at if he's just being solid or competent. And it really sucks to see because this is probably the most dominant defense in the NFL.
Yeah,
Um, if not, it's top three. And it just like it's hard to win a Super Bowl with PJ Walker or just even imagine it or Dorian Thompson Robinson. Like I was thinking maybe like a Tannehill gets cut or something. I don't know. Maybe he requests a release, but it's like it's also Ryan Tannehill, so I
yeah.
don't know. Um, but yeah, besides that, like going into the game here, this is a clear, very low scoring game here. the Steelers do give up a decent amount of yards and then kind of are great at holding you to field goals or turning you over, making timely plays, etc. Um, and I just don't feel like the Browns offense is going to be able to like move the ball on them in the first place, and like
Yeah.
you get field goals necessarily. So I could see this being a complete punt fest. I'm gonna go with the Steelers because they have some weird magic going on, and it seems like every game that they physically can win, they do. But I could really see this going either way. I really wonder what the over under is in this game. It's got to be like mid to low 30s. I'd assume.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. I mean, on the Deshaun stuff, obviously, I think I'm just cursed, I think, at the end of the day. Not shocking, just as a fan. But yeah, I mean, he was starting to play well. Like that second half, he completed every pass. He threw for
Your
like
pass.
135 yards on a busted shoulder. So, I mean, props to him. He really was getting it going, which I think makes it even worse. I mean, I think the Browns were like 5-1 in games he started this year, or something around that. So like he was getting the job done, and obviously that contract is ridiculous, and now it's even worse. And they kind of, with the cap hit, they sacrificed a lot for this year specifically. Um, so it's a mess. I do agree with them starting DTR though. I do disagree with you on that because I do think the excuses and stuff like that is valid. Like he genuinely with that game against Baltimore, like didn't know he was starting until the day of. He didn't have the week of practice, the week of reps. Whereas this week you're going to be practicing under center as QB1. You're going to be in the team meetings, leading the offense, kind of being more prepared. Obviously, it's a tough task still with Pittsburgh, but I think he'll be more prepared. I think he got his first game of experience out of the way too, which is good at this point. So I do think DTR, not that he's going to be a stud, but I think it's the right move just because with PJ Walker, like he wasn't like he was fine, but it was like he really wasn't that good. He turns the ball over. Like I don't know. Like he's a fine backup, but it's just like with DTR, I think there's a little bit of hope to where like, okay, this could be something. Not saying he's going to be a star, but like, maybe this guy with his legs or just big play, that big play, I don't know what the word is, big play, like he kind of has like that ability to kind of give you
He's
a
a
big play, I
playmaker.
feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a playmaker, yeah. So I think it's the right move in that regard. And I am going to pick the Browns in this one. I think at home, I think this team's going to be fired up. I think they're going to be playing for something. I think I do think that goes a long way. I think they're going to be playing for, to prove that, hey, Deshaun may be out, but we're not going anywhere. That's kind of been the theme of what I've seen this week from them. So I'm going to pick Cleveland. I think at home for them, I think is big because this defense is as good as any, if not the best in the NFL. So like you said, it's probably gonna be a punt fest, but I'm excited to see DTR. I do think that maybe there's something there, and I think this team. If the Browns win this week, I would be shocked if they don't go to the playoffs
Yeah.
because you're 7-3. They've got games against like the Broncos, Rams, and Bears left. Like I think the Browns, if they win this week, I think whoever wins this week's in the playoffs for sure. And the other team obviously is still going to be right there. So I'm gonna go with the Browns this week. But yeah, very devastating for both these AFC North teams. I mean, it's pretty crazy the amount of QBs that have now been declared out for the season. It sucks for sure.
Yeah. Moving along. Raiders, Dolphins. Um, yeah. I mean
Maybe
the
they're bringing out
Raiders,
the victory cigars week 3 in a row.
yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Devontae Adams looks like so much infinitely happier now that Josh
Yeah,
McDaniels. They all just seem to like be so happy that McDaniels is gone. Like, so that does seem to have some impact on teams, especially in like a short term type sense. And
yeah,
the Raiders have really weirdly good interim coach history, but
yeah,
Dolphins offense is built to design not great defenses like this, especially in the secondary, and they're coming off a bye. They're coming off a loss, before the bye. So I just think this has Dolphins boat race all over it. But
yeah.
don't count out the
Miami,
Raiders, man.
Miami's gonna smoke him. I mean, that's the prediction. I like the vibe with the Raiders right now. I think it's fun. Max Crosby's blowing out. They're smoking the victory cigars, and it's fun and all. But yeah, this is a Miami Dolphins victory for sure. Moving along, Bears at Lions. Justin Fields, I think, is back this week, which is great for the Bears because Tyson Bagent, we saw what it was. I guess he picked up 2 wins, right? Or just the one,
Think
two
so.
wins, yeah, yeah, because they beat the Panthers last week on Thursday night, I guess. But Justin Fields is back. That's good for you DJ Moore fantasy owners out there. Um, you know, excited to see him. It feels like at this point, the way things are going, that this could be it for him in Chicago, which sucks. I still think he's such a talent and can be something. But regardless, I'm going to pick the Lions in this one. That two-headed monster of Gibbs and Montgomery is just something special right now, and Amon-Ra is playing great. Defenses, didn't have their best week last week, but it's been pretty solid throughout the year. So I'm going to go with the Lions, who are 7-2 right now. They are what a fucking turnaround for that franchise. It's been awesome to see. A lot of fun personalities, and shout out Jared Goff, man. It's I think a lot of people counted him out, and look at him now. He's in line for a huge extension, so good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you look at this Lions schedule, I don't remember exactly every game, but I think they play the Cowboys on Christmas, and that kind of feels like their next losable game. So
Yeah, they play their schedules. Oh my God. Packers, Lions, or not Lions, Packers, Saints, Bears, Broncos, Vikings with Joshy Dobbs could
Vikings,
get
yeah.
it done. And that's on the 20. Is the 24th Christmas, or is that no,
24th Christmas
25th?
Eve.
Right. Yeah. So they play the Cowboys on uh the 30th. So not even, I
Oh,
guess it's just some random day. I don't know.
that's that's so weird that okay. Yeah, the scheduling of Christmas time in the NFL is always interesting. But
Yeah.
back to the Lions, like you said, the two-headed monster in the backfield. Amon-Ra St. Brown is just a beast, like probably a top 10 receiver at this point, which kind of feels crazy to say for like a 5th round pick.
Uh,
We see that happen a lot with receivers, but it's just he's so good at what he does. He has a lot of like Cooper Cup to him. He's also one of those guys where it's like he's not that fast, but he always just seems to be like a step faster than the guy who's chasing him. Same
yeah.
thing with Mahomes. Mahomes isn't fast, but then whenever someone's chasing after him, he's just a little faster than him.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I'm expecting the Lions to kind of put up a lot of points here. Maybe the Bears offense looks kind of good, but I doubt it, to be honest. Um, but yeah, they're getting Fields back, which is good, and these are like kind of the most important weeks of his career so far.
Yeah.
So, that'll be interesting to watch, just in terms of like, even though the Bears season is probably over or definitely over, like they do have something to be playing for, which is their quarterback going to be their quarterback in the future?
Yeah.
But I'm going with the Lions.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting. Fields, before the 2 games prior to the injury, he had 4 touchdowns in both those games. So he was balling out before. Hopefully we see some more of that. But moving along to heading down south, Titans at Jaguars. Man, the Jaguars got destroyed last week. Trevor Lawrence, I think, had 3 turnovers in this one. Which I've got a little take on Trevor Lawrence in the AFC South. I honestly believe that CJ Stroud is better than Trevor Lawrence is right now. And, it might be a hot take. It might not be. Maybe I'm just buying in too much, but I don't know. I feel like I talk about it every week. I'm probably one of the biggest Trevor Lawrence haters out there. I don't know why. I think it goes back to my debates with our good friend Charlie back in the dial over Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. So, he just does not impress me this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater. Trevor Lawrence really hasn't done it for me this year. I know the stats aren't the whole story, but it's just 89 QB rating. Like, I don't know, man. It's not anything great. I do think they'll win this week. I'm getting far away from the game. I think they'll beat the Titans. Will Levis obviously had the great first game. Since then, it's been, not great. But it's good to see him out there at least getting some experience. And I do think the Jags bounce back win this week. Lawrence maybe has a strong week here. ETN finds the end zone once or twice. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just something I was kind of thinking of this week. And I was like, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm buying into the hype a little too much. But CJ Stroud to me is just, I don't know. Trevor Lawrence to me has taken a step back this year from what I was expecting, at least. I mean, I think he only has like 9 passing touchdowns, which is
Yeah.
not very good. That's he's down there with Zach Wilson almost, which is
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, no, I'm also gonna take the Jaguars, but I agree with everything you said. Like I've been a big fan of Trevor Lawrence, but it's kind of almost getting to put up or shut up time, and not in terms of like I think we know he's at least like the 14th to 18th best quarterback in the league.
Yeah,
Like he's definitely like a starter and probably at least in like the, you know, solid to good range. But like you said, like his stats aren't great and stats aren't necessarily everything, but what about his situation is like holding him back? Like the
yeah,
defense is pretty good. Like it'd be one thing if, you know, like you look at field stats or you know, certain guys on offenses that just aren't good. And you can make the argument like Pickett. Pickett doesn't have a good situation around him. His stats are horrible, but we all know he's not necessarily horrible.
yeah,
Like, but with Lawrence, I think they have the weapons, so I don't really, I don't know. I've been left a bit disappointed by Lawrence too this season. I've probably like been a bigger fan of him, but right now, like I'm certainly taking Stroud over him. I mean, Stroud has way better stats and a way worse situation when you look at the playmakers. Um, so I'm still going with the Jags here, but
yeah,
um, yeah, no, it's not like it's kind of a panicky 6-3 if it makes sense,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah.
Um, another one of two of the worst coach defensive teams like in the league is the Chargers and Packers here. Um, the Chargers, they can't stop anyone. They just their only hope is that Herbert has a great day. Well, they stopped the Jets a little bit, but that's not saying
Anyone can stop
yeah,
Zach
anyone
Wilson.
can
Yeah,
stop the Jets. um,
they go backwards more than forwards on offense at this
yep,
point.
yeah. Um, So I mean, but at the same time, the Chargers offense is still like pretty solid. I think Keenan Allen will probably end up playing this week, even though he's
Yeah,
been limited in practice. Starting like Eckler's starting to get his rhythm back. I just the Packers still suck in my opinion, like
yeah,
until further notice. So I'm going with the Chargers here.
yeah. I'm going with the Chargers too. I mean, you put it pretty well. The Packers suck. I mean, Aaron Jones started to get the ball a little more, but it almost doesn't matter at this point just because this offense is so bad. Jordan Love's not very good. Their defense isn't as good as past years. So, yeah, I'll go with the Chargers, who, offensively, they're a great team. Defensively, they get some sacks, but they also give up, 30, 40 points a game. So, not great. Are they what, 4-5? Yeah, four and
Four and
five.
five or
So,
4-6. Yeah.
and I mean, it's just, they have some winnable games on there. I mean, they have the Broncos twice still. They got the Pats, the Packers this week, the Raiders. Um, the Bills kind of suck, and the Bills they got on there, but I don't know. They probably won't make the playoffs. I mean, Brandon Staley needs to get fired. He's just needs to go, and
I
maybe
do
that'll.
have a I do have a weird feeling with that schedule that they're gonna find their way into the playoffs and then not fire Brandon Staley, which would of course be the worst thing for them.
Yeah, I
Unless they
feel like they know he's got to go regardless. So I don't know.
I think I might have said this earlier, but like I heard like I was watching some podcast where like this guy who knows a lot about the Chargers is very connected said that there's like no consider like they haven't even like thought about the idea that Staley might not be their future coach. So like I don't know where they are because he's got I mean in this era you know how like they must know that everyone thinks he's a horrible coach because like
Yeah,
everyone does. So I think that probably does have some effect if everyone's just like you got to fire this guy. But ultimately they don't seem super ready for that, but yeah, the Chargers are their defense is really it's a mess. So
no bueno, no bueno. But um, moving along to the man of the hour, C.J. Stroud, Texans at Cardinals. He did it again. I mean, he wins another close one. He beats the Bengals, game-winning drive. He passes for 356 yards. He did have 3 turnovers in this game, which I do feel like went untalked about.
yeah.
Like everyone was like, "Oh my God, he does it again! Like greatest quarterback ever." And I'm like, as much as I love C.J. Stroud, he did turn the ball over 3 times, which is not good. You literally couldn't even because I was starting him in a fantasy league, and I go and check his points like periodically because I wasn't able to watch. And it's like he just keeps going down, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, and it's like, oh, fumble lost. And I go on Twitter, and it's like nowhere to be found. Like they're like they hide. I've never seen any play or series hidden as much as the CJ Stroud fumbles were. I mean, you couldn't find it. One of them was bullshit, the one where he was throwing forward, and that was not a fumble. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was pretty funny. But regardless, I mean, Noah Brown is going crazy. Dalton Schultz. I mean, they got like the rejects from the Cowboys, and they're just
Yeah.
going off. And obviously
Yeah.
Tank Dell. Um, I guess Nico Collins is playing this week. Noah Brown isn't, so they cycled back there. I don't know. Regardless, I'm picking them. Cardinals did win last week with Kyler, so they're probably going to be a little more. I don't think they're still good, but more competitive than they were. Um, just because Kyler, he gets a lot of hate, but Kyler, when Kyler's at his best, he's a tough person to game plan for sure. So I think it'll be a good game. I do give the edge to the Texans, who are going to be 6-4. I mean, this Houston Texans team might make the playoffs, Dev. It's pretty nuts. I mean, CJ Stroud, if they make the playoffs, he should be the MVP of the National Football League, in my opinion, if they make the playoffs. I think D'Amico Ryan should have Coach of the Year locked up, obviously, if that happens too, and maybe even if they miss by like a game or two. But heck of a job, man, from D'Amico Ryans, and yeah, CJ Stroud is balling out. It's good to see for sure.
Yeah. I think the Kyler thing is kind of interesting because we obviously Cliff Kingsbury wasn't the best coach. We all know that. But at the same time, Cliff Kingsbury did encourage Murray to play to his strengths, which was obviously the playmaking and the out of structure, scrambling type stuff, and a lot of QB run game as well. So I think it'll be interesting now that he's in more of like a normal offense to see if he actually really can throw over the middle of the field and he can read a defense like one of these elite quarterbacks in a way that he didn't show with Kingsbury, but he also wasn't really asked to do. They also didn't have the best offensive game plan in terms of it was a lot of just like really simple concepts, like stuff just like 4 curl routes. Like you can't be running that. Like that's pretty stupid. But I won't get too far into the X's and O's, especially because I'm picking the Texans. But like you said, like especially now it looks like they're gonna make the playoffs because like the AFC East kind of looks like a one team division. The AFC North probably will be 3, would be my guess. But then it's
Yeah,
looking like there's going to be one more wild card spot, or they could win the division, to be honest. So they already beat the Jags in Jacksonville. They might win
big
this
game next
division.
week.
Yeah.
Their
Wow.
schedule is easy. I mean, it's Cardinals, the Jags is a huge game next week. Then they play the Broncos, the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, the Titans, the Colts.
Okay, so they're winning the division, I think. Um,
That's crazy.
that's insane. I mean, what the Eagles would do. I mean, obviously there are a lot of reasons for the schedule being that way, but which are fair. But the Eagles, you look at their schedule the next few games, it's nothing. It's unreal compared to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Stroud's got to be in the MVP conversation at this point. Just has to be, and D'Amico Ryans has to be either the favorite or second favorite besides Dan Campbell for Coach of the Year. Like he's the
Yeah,
only
that's
guy.
true.
Like, but in any normal year, it feels like D'Amico Ryans is the easy Coach of the Year. But
Yeah.
um,
That'll be interesting. I mean, the Lions did have a lot of success last year, so you got to think if the Texans make the playoffs that it's D'Amico. Like it has to be,
but what if
considering
the
they won
Lions go
like
like
what.
14-3?
I think you still got to go to the
Right?
Texans. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, you
because the
do.
Texans won what, 2 games last year?
Yeah, something like that.
So that'd be like probably like a 7-win improvement to where
Yeah.
the Lions would be like a 6. I mean, it's like that would be actually the probably closest or toughest Coach of the Year to like predict in a while. I feel like maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. Just for I think I said I'm picking the Texans, but if I didn't, I
Yeah,
am picking the Texans. Moving on to another not so close matchup, we got Cowboys Panthers. I don't have too much to say about this. I do feel like this would be the weird Cowboys lose after looking really good week, but I still don't see it just because the
no,
Panthers are so bad.
yeah,
Their defense is playing a little bit better, I guess, but that's all I have to say.
yeah. Dallas is going to win this game. I mean, their offense has been electric. I mean, Dak's been really balling out these last few weeks. Even the Eagles game, he played
Yep.
really well. CD's been going crazy, which is great for them because he was not getting the ball enough. I mean, we talked about it, I think, how, it's just perplexing when some of these teams don't get their best players the ball. And now CD's, I think just set a franchise record or something like that, maybe for most 150-yard plus games in a
I
row.
think it's an NFL record.
NFL record is
I
3.
believe so. Or 10 catches, 150 yards. I think he's the only guy.
Wow, that's kind of. I mean, I guess that's a lot, but you would think one of these, like a Randy Moss or a Jerry Rice or someone would have hit that. But I guess that's
Yeah.
believable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Cowboys. I mean, there's not really much more to say than that. This next game, Giants Commanders. Quick shout out to Sam Howell, man. I mean, he's legit, I think. I mean, he's playing behind the worst O line in the league. He gets sacked the most, and he's leading the league in yards. He's got 18 touchdowns. He has thrown 10 interceptions, which gives you some Jameis vibes. But he's doing well with that situation. I think I saw something that for the next 3 years, his combined contract's like 2.5 million. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 4 years, 5 million, something like that. But I mean, he was what, a 5th-round pick or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they are in a good spot. They need to build around this kid now. Obviously, they just kind of tore it down a little bit, which I guess makes sense because the contract sweat god and like Chase Young wasn't working out there. So a fresh start with some picks might not be a bad idea. But the time is now to build around. You got a young quarterback on a really cheap deal, and is Sam Howell going to be a star? I don't know, but he's balled out this year, and I am going to pick the Commanders here. I mean, the Giants with Tommy DeVito are just not competitive. I mean, man, Giants got some winnable games on here the rest of the way, but I really do not want to see them get Caleb Williams. Like, I just cannot. I can't have that. But and I'm not even in the division. I just don't want to see that, man. I don't want to see that. So yeah, I pray they win, but I am going to go with the Commanders. I think the Giants suck.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a matchup if even Tyrod Taylor was playing, which kind of speaks to how bad Tommy DeVito is.
I don't know how he even is in the league, bro.
Yeah, I'll say this. I think there's gotta be like 70 guys who are better at easily like 100 quarterbacks. Like, I mean, he's horrible. They don't trust him to throw the ball. Like, I think Matt Barkley is on their team. He's got to be better. Like, honestly, like, I don't get it.
He's
but
25, bro, just out of college. Also,
yeah, no, he did attend Syracuse for a short
he did, yeah.
time. Yeah, but like I said, this would maybe be a game, tough to pick that if one of the quarterbacks was healthy, but they're not. Sam Howell's actually playing well. This might be like one of those low scoring games because the Giants defense isn't horrible, although they did just give up a ton of points to the Cowboys, who, like you said, are playing really well. But besides that, I'm going with the Commanders here. Moving on, we got Bucks 49ers. I'll say this about the 49ers. I was really dumb for expecting them to lose 4 straight games. I don't know why I thought that would
Did
happen.
you pick the Jags last week?
I did pick the Jags.
Oh,
and
God.
As soon as the podcast ended, I was like, I should have gone with the Niners, right? And then as soon as the game started, I was like, I should have gone with the Niners for sure. The Niners are still really good. I was kind of picking with my heart more than my head. So yeah, they're gonna win this game probably. The Bucks are kind of getting cold a little bit. Baker's not been horrible though, so that's kind of interesting. Like, I wonder if they're probably not going to be bad enough to draft a quarterback, so they'll probably end up bringing him back, which seems crazy. Like, I would have guessed before the season that he was definitely headed towards backup territory after this year, but good for him. He's someone I definitely root for, but again, I see no way that the Niners lose this game. What about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Niners. I mean, like you said, like Baker's not been terrible. I mean, I'm looking at the stats now, like 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, 5 picks. Like, it's actually been pretty good. I mean, he's got like a 93.7 QB rating, which would be, tied for second best in his career. So he's played well. But yeah, the Niners are a different beast. I think last week they kind of got back to that. They're starting to get healthy a little bit. Debo's back. You got Kittle in there, obviously CMC, whose touchdown streak was finally broken. I think it was 17 games or 17, I think, right?
17. And they were
Yeah,
so shamelessly trying to get him that touchdown.
I know. crazy. But you gotta feel it would have been an NFL record, right?
Yeah,
18 games. Yeah,
yeah.
damn, bro. That sucks to see. But even Juszczyk got one. I mean, damn. But yeah, they played well. Their defense, Chase Young had a half sack, so fun to see him in there with Nick Bosa. Their defense is great. I mean, this team obviously went through a bit of a rough patch. Kind of showed some concern, kind of, you know, maybe raised some concerns, I think is what I was looking for with Purdy a little bit, that he's not on that, kind of level that's needed to win a Super Bowl. So we'll see how it progresses throughout the year and into the playoffs. But yeah, they'll win this game, I think, for sure. Oh God, the Jets and the Bills. The Buffalo Bills are ass. They are terrible. I like this is not a good football team. I love saying it. Man, like it's crazy. Like I think it's the funniest thing because I brought it up every week. That Dolphins game, it was, oh my God, the Super Bowl's back on. It's going. They're everyone. The Bills are the team, and I think that's why I hate them. The media has made me hate the Bills because of this stupid narrative that this team is like fucking like from heaven. Like that Josh Allen's the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. And like this dude's throwing a pick and like he leads the league in like interceptions. Like if you go
Every
back
year.
every year, it's like Josh Allen, Josh Allen, Josh Allen, Josh Allen, Josh Allen. Like he's got a real turnover problem and he's had a bad year for, his standard. I mean 11 interceptions, it's not good. I do think, I mean, I guess the Jets went in Buffalo. I think the Bills will win. I mean, the Jets suck. This offense is terrible. The O-line's awful. Zach Wilson's awful. We've gone full circle back to Zach Wilson's awful. But yeah, this Buffalo team is not good. It is, depending of Trayvon Diggs tweeting. I mean, it's all these like the cast of characters in there. I think it was funny. Was it last week that yeah, the DeMar Hamlin comes in for like the defensive snaps on like the last drive, and you're just like, oh my God, like is this script about to come? That would have been, I think, the funniest thing in the entire world if Russ threw a game sealing pick to DeMar Hamlin. I mean, that would have been amazing. It would have been. I mean, then the real scripted narrative would have gone wild.
I was gonna say, like, the NFL might have scripted it so that that didn't happen, so people didn't think the NFL was scripted. Because if that did happen, like, I don't think anyone would like. I think it would be a bad week for the
And with
NFL.
Russ in there, it's like could have Russ had a decent game, but
Yeah,
regardless, we're talking about the Bills and the Jets. But yeah, the Bills are man, Super Bowl window I think is closed. It's I don't know. I really don't know. I could very well see Diggs forcing himself off this team in the offseason. He's kind of a diva, low key, but like I feel like every time he doesn't have like 8 catches for like 120 yards and a touchdown, there's like someone is complaining, whether it's him, his brother, like there's just something. Um, I don't know. It's super interesting. I think, you know, I feel like it's like never doubt Josh Allen, but it's like also like kind of the like I don't know. He hasn't proved he can get it done. I don't know. Maybe I'm a Bills hater. I am picking the Bills in this one though. I know I've gone on a tangent, so I'm going to stop there and let you talk.
no, I like you keep kind of anointing yourself as a hater of these things, but as I'm someone who's been a big fan of Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, but especially Josh Allen, like I'm starting to not believe in Josh Allen. So like you
It's
said,
weird.
he has a turnover problem. Like when you turn the ball over 3 times a game, like 4 or 5 times a year, it just becomes too consistent of an issue
Yeah.
to for any amount of good play to get over, really. Like you just can't single-handedly lose your team that many games. Like that's the issue. And the defense is playing well, and I'm gonna pick them. And every team we're roasting, we're picking pretty
Yeah.
much. But so I guess we're kind of like reverse jinxing ourselves. So maybe we'll actually get some picks right this week. But yeah, the Jets are really bad. And then it also conversely does feel like Zach Wilson would now start to play well because
Yeah,
everyone is now saying he sucks
we're
officially
back in
again.
that cycle where we were at the Chiefs game. So
Yeah,
now it's
so
gonna
it
go.
feels like maybe we're in Chiefs game territory, but I'm not gonna pick that to happen for sure. And I do think the Bills are still better on both sides of the ball. Well, not defense, but they're better.
Yeah,
They have competent guys on both
they
sides.
actually have an offense, is what
They
you're looking
actually
to
have
say.
an NFL offense. Whether,
Yes,
they turn it over, but they can score.
yes.
So I will go with the Bills here.
That game
Moving on.
also, I mean, we forgot to real quick the
Yeah, go
ending
ahead, go
where
ahead.
they missed the field goal and 12 guys are on. I mean, the Broncos are like, dude, twice in one game, you're like attempting to like rush the field goal unit out there and like kick. Will Lutz must be like stressed out of his mind, bro. Like, I can't even imagine as a kicker, like, you're just like sprinting out there. You're probably out of breath because you're like not athletic at all. And then you're, well, not, I shouldn't say that, but like, not like, you're not like sprinting constantly. And like, and you're like lining up to take a field goal and like you just see the time just ticking down, games like about to end, and you shank it, and then 12 guys are on the field. I mean, that was probably that was a great end to that game. But regardless, I'll let you take us to the next one.
Yeah, no, I agree that I don't know why they like let the clock, like, you got to take the incompletion there and whatever. That's a story for another day, but
Yeah.
they so whatever. Seahawks Rams, I think Stafford is playing. If not,
Yeah.
we get our boy Carson Wentz. That'll be fun. Um so the Rams did beat the Seahawks earlier this year, and they made their defense look like really bad. And I think this will be a good game, but I do think the Seahawks have gotten a lot better from that point, and the Rams have kind of stagnated. So I feel like the Seahawks will win this. It's in LA, but there's definitely gonna be more Seahawks fans than Rams fans, like we know, like that always happens. Um, so yeah, I do pick the Seahawks, but this is like the first game like that I'm like really having to consider who I want to take here. What about you?
The Rams are 0-3 without Kyron Williams while he's been on IR. And I think it's going to be 0-4. I'm going to go with Seattle Seahawks. I just think they're the better team, better offense. Um, yeah, I mean the Rams have just kind of gone down to what we kind of expected before the season. I feel like at this point, obviously they're dealing with injuries. Stafford's been out, Kyron's been out, but they got to get the ball to. I mean, Cooper Cup's had what 2, 3 bad games in a row now. Like get the ball to Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua, of course, and Rusty on the defensive side of the ball. But I wonder how our boy's been doing. But yeah, I'm picking the Seahawks. Let me Google these. I
I
doubt there.
I
I
did
doubt
see him
there's
get
anything.
shouted out on the broadcast once.
Wow, he got 7 combined tackles last game for 3 assists as well. So the boys, I mean, he's got five. He's been playing well. Russ has been doing well. So shout out Russ East as always. Still looking for that first pick. I can't wait for when it happens. But yeah, I'll go with the Seahawks in this one.
Yeah. Moving on to a game that 3 weeks ago would have seemed like maybe the worst game of all time, but now doesn't seem as bad. Broncos Vikings. The Broncos are back, baby. I don't know if you watched any of the Manning cast or whatever, but Peyton Manning was like such a Homer fan. It was
Yeah,
unreal. So that was funny, but besides that, like their defense is now all of a sudden competent, which is good to see. And Russ isn't too bad. So they're not good on either side of the ball, but they're also not like especially bad. And Sean Payton
yeah,
is like a good coach still. So they're really probably like a 7-8 win team. Nothing too bad. And the Vikings, it does seem like they're probably in the playoff push still.
yeah.
Dobbs getting Jefferson back. He had a great connection with Hawkinson. You still got Addison. You have one of the best tackle duos in the league. So you can't run the ball, but in terms of the passing offense, Dobbs has everything he needs to be successful. And like he is outperforming everyone's expectations. Like everyone kind of applauded what he did for the Cardinals. And, but that thing kind of ran its course and he ended up looking like more of a backup by the end of it. And most quarterbacks would on the Cardinals. But at the same time, like he's looked really, really good these last few weeks with a better situation that he completely just entered. So in theory, he's only going to get more comfortable. I'm gonna go with the Vikings here. The Broncos are like 3-point favorites for some reason. I don't get that line at all. It is in Denver, but like that line does seem a little bit crazy to me. Um,
That's
but yeah,
nuts.
I'm going with the Vikings. What about you?
Yeah, I'm picking the Vikings too. We had a different pick this entire
I
day?
don't think so.
Oh my God. That is bad. That is
We're
really
going we're
bad. Oh
going
no,
0-2.
Steelers Browns was
Steelers
the only
Browns.
one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then the last game, who knows? But yeah, man, Astro Dobbs has been I mean, this guy is fun to watch. He gets it done. It's an awesome story. I think it's, he seems like a great guy. Um, and he's finally in a chance where, look, I think the Vikings, like you said, like I think they're gonna be in the playoffs. They got the weapons, absolutely. Um, their defense has played all right. And the AFC North outside of the Lions is pretty bad. So I think the path is there for the playoffs for sure. Um, the Vikings, man, give credit to that front office. I mean, obviously it's a different era than it was when they traded Diggs, but they always have found a way to, trade a receiver that's been really, or lose a receiver that's been such a key part of their offense for many years and bring one in that, is a stud young player and just make them, better, if not as good, or good as, if not better right away. I mean, they've had a lot of success at receiver with obviously Jettis and Addison replacing Diggs and Thielen. But regardless, I will pick the Vikings. I feel like there was something I wanted to say about this game, and now I forgot, which is annoying. But oh yeah, I think shout out to Josh Dobbs. I think it's fun to look at and think about, but like this guy's probably extended his NFL career by like 5 or 6 years because like now even if he doesn't land as a starter next year, which I think he probably will, like one of these bad teams has got to pay
Yeah,
him
I
probably
agree.
starter money. I guess we'll see how kind of the draft shakes out. He'll probably be on a team competing with like a young guy next year would be
Yeah.
my guess, unless maybe he just becomes the Vikings quarterback. Who knows how the season goes? But yeah, at least like before we had never really seen him play, but now that we've seen him play, and like it kind of happened with like PJ Walker. Like once you see that like a backup kind of player can win you like a few games and like produce, like you're just like in the NFL for like 5, 6 more years just because of that as a quarterback, as a backup. So it's pretty interesting. Kind of a random thought, but yeah, shout out Josh Dobbs. And damn, we've only picked one different game. That's not good at all.
Yeah, no, it feels like it's gonna be a bad week for us. Just quickly on Dobbs, why or not why, but like it looks really bad now that the Browns traded him. Like obviously they'd be
Yeah,
really fortunate to have a guy like Dobbs in the building, but
but he wouldn't
like I
like. I
don't
feel like he
really
wouldn't.
even like blame them necessarily.
Nah,
Like obviously they were all in on Watson being good and healthy, so it's not really their fault. But obviously you wish you had a guy like Dobbs right now.
yeah.
Final game of the week. This is a fun one. My Eagles against the Chiefs, obviously a Super Bowl rematch, a great game that we saw the Eagles pull out at the very end. Sorry. I had to make that joke. No one's watching it at this point. It's fine. No. Obviously a classic Super Bowl. Chiefs won. This is going to be such a good game, man. I'm really excited. Like both teams coming off a bye, both teams playing pretty well. Got the Kelce brothers. You got Mahomes. You got Hurts with another week.
Taylor Swift's parents are meeting each other and meeting the
Yeah,
Kelce parents. Oh my God. What
yeah.
else could you
No,
ask for?
oh god, she's definitely gonna be there, and they're gonna talk about how she's from
Oh,
Philly.
100%. It's going to be wild how much they talk about in pants. I mean, her parents meeting the Kelseys for the first time. I mean, it's going to, I mean, they might not even show the game. They might just talk about the Kelseys the whole time and Taylor Swift. Like, it's pretty, I mean, it's what, Monday night, ESPN, Joe
Yeah,
Buck. Which is that I feel like that's when they showed her all the time in New York, so
yeah,
that's not good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to the game. But like you said, like you're right. Like this is gonna be like a complete
The
distraction.
off the field stuff literally like dominates this game. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Like the Kelsey brothers are legit like famous now, like
yeah,
outside of like the
yeah.
NFL. Because even Jason just got named like sexiest man
Sexiest man
alive.
alive.
Like it's like shit is crazy, bro.
All because he named himself Sexy Batman. I'm pretty
Sexy
sure.
Batman. It's like
Yeah.
Crazy,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm gonna go with the Eagles because they're my favorite
Yeah.
team. And I don't really see any quantifiable like huge differences between these teams overall. Like I still think the Chiefs are really good, and I still think the Eagles are obviously really good. To the best records in the NFL. That's not a hot take or anything, but this is gonna be a great game. I just think the Eagles pull it out, move to 9-1. It feels like for some reason, I was thinking about this. Like, are the Lions the biggest threat to the Eagles for the number one seed in the NFC now?
Yeah.
Um, all of a sudden it does feel like because the Niners they play the Eagles, so they could get that tiebreaker back and make up some ground very easily. The Cowboys play the Eagles again, and the Lions have a very easy schedule. So it does feel like that one seed is kind of up for grabs, or at least in flux or whatever. Whereas in the
Yeah.
AFC, I do feel like the Chiefs will end up getting it no matter what. Although
Yeah.
the Ravens could maybe compete for it. But besides that, I'm going with the Eagles. What about you?
I'll save you. I'll go with the Chiefs here. I won't give the outside of the arena curse to this one. I think it's gonna be a great game. I'm really excited for this one. I think Travis Kelce is gonna go nuclear, man. I really do. I think yeah, I off a bye. The man was just in Argentina with with Taylor, obviously, living the life, spotlight on him. I just feel like he's gonna go crazy. I think Mahomes is gonna pull the ball out. I feel like he had that great game against Chicago, I think it was. I feel like we still haven't seen him kind of hit his groove yet. I think you got the bye, you got some time to kind of incorporate some more stuff, maybe get Rasheed Rice more involved, McCole Hardman, maybe get him some more design plays. So I think the offense will be better this week. Pacheco's been pretty solid this year. I'm waiting for Jerick McKinnon to have his burst of like 5 games in a row with the touchdown. Um, and the defense has been one of the best in the NFL at the end of the day. I mean, it's probably been better than the Philadelphia defense, I would
Oh
say.
yeah.
So, um, I think it's going to be interesting. Um, obviously, no shit, Griffin, but yeah, I'm excited for this one. I will pick the Chiefs at home in Arrowhead too. I think is honestly like probably would have gone with the home team no matter where this game was, just because both are such tough environments to play in, and um, I do think. I mean, what a game Monday night, both off a bye too. Like it feels like, and both teams it feels like are healthy too, like completely. I mean, are the Eagles have any
Goddard.
injuries right now?
Goddard's hurt.
Goddard, right? But like at the end of the day, like that's not anything that people are gonna. Well, Dallas Goddard was from
Yeah.
so.
I mean,
You know,
basically, they'll only say that with like the quarterback or like one or two players, basically,
yeah,
which is fair.
exactly.
Which is fair.
Yeah. Like a big like if you know Slay or like a Chris Jones is out, then we'd hear
Yeah.
So it's good. I'm just saying, like I'm
Yeah.
glad
No, I
that
know.
we got mono v mono, right? Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
saying. I'm just rambling right now, so I'm gonna stop, turn this one over, and I mean, I guess that's it. If you want to wrap it up, then for us, I guess
Yeah.
that will do it for this week.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hope everyone enjoyed. We had some fun conversations here. Not too many different games, not too many
Yeah,
competitive games, but there will obviously be fun games like that we didn't expect to be close. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're watching at this point and you haven't liked and subscribed, then I don't know what you're
what do you?
doing. Um, that's all I gotta say. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week on Outside the Arena.